I used to think I'm a senior engineer back, like, let's say 5 years ago. What's 5 years ago? 4, 5 years ago, I think I've gotten to that senior level. Well, that period, I was working in a startup and I was the king everywhere. Everybody respected me. I write fast code. I don't sleep at night. Omo, if you jam me that period, I the write code die. I swear to God. I was more of a coder. I wasn't really more, though not really a coder, because naturally I'm a very critical thinker. I analyze things. Like, I'm so analytical in processing things. That's just my kind of person, and maybe that's my superpower. I don't know, but like, I analyze things a lot. I don't just let things be. I want to know how things are broken down from point A to point B. That's just my kind of person. So most times when challenges or problem comes during work, I like to break things down to understand why I need to do this, how I'm going to solve this problem. I don't just jump straight. That's just been me. So back then I was working in a startup and I was doing so well. I felt like I was a senior engineer because obviously I'm kind of the senior guy in everywhere. You understand? I was almost like the one managing everybody. I was like the tech. I was like an engineering manager and also a tech team lead then. We were few, but a very small company, a startup, but we were doing so well. Majority of everything I've learned, even that built me up, was from that startup. And I will always advise any person, junior, when you're starting, please don't just be focused on money. Go for where you will get the experience, places that will drill you. Let me tell you, you might not like it, but that drilling will bring out the best out of you. So scratch that. Let's still continue my story. I'm going somewhere. So I was so good in that company. So at some point, I felt like I've outgrown this company, and the money they were paying me wasn't really good enough again. So I needed more. I now went in search of, in my head, senior engineer. It's not like anything. So I wanted like a job that would pay me more. Then I now started applying for jobs, and luckily I got some interviews. Bro, those interviews humbled me. That was when I know that I'm nowhere. I just need to go and learn. In my head, I was thinking everything about programming is basically back-end engineering, because I did front-end for about 3 years. Trust me, with Vue.js only, and I was so good at it. Not just Vue.js, I studied my CSS so good. I studied my HTML so good. So I did that and I dropped that part. One thing about me is that when I do stuff, I do it to know, to see the end and understand, to ensure I know it at least to a very high standard before I drop it. So that was like 2 years or 3 years. I think that was 3 years into my professional backend development, because I've been doing backend, but like not professionally. I think since 2017. So this period, I felt like I've gotten there. So when I started interviewing, I received the biggest shock of my life. And some of the questions I was asked, trust me, I don't know the answer to them. Because then, okay, imagine somebody who is calling himself a senior engineer. I didn't know what message brokers was yet. In my head, I was thinking that, okay, somebody that knows how to build an API, know that API on its own, they are microservices, which can be true depending on the context you want to put it. But in the general sense, that is not it. Microservice is like breaking down your application into different, like separating your application into different applications, into different smaller applications. You understand? And then they can exist independently. And when I mean independently, totally independently, they can have their own servers, have their own database, like totally independent. Those are microservices, not the one you separate your application. .NET kind of does it so perfectly that you can have two, three different applications in one code base. You understand? And you can choose to deploy them separately or even deploy them together. .NET is so good at that. Clean architecture, all those modularization, leave it for .NET. I don't know about any other technology. At least I'm aware of .NET. I write .NET, so I can tell you for free that they're so good. I know Java would have something like that, but I've not really written Java professionally, even though I kind of understand the syntax and the code. So I didn't know all these things. I didn't know there was clean architecture. No, I knew there was clean architecture. I knew there were something like queues because I used them in my Laravel code at the time. But I didn't know there was a high level to this thing. I didn't know that. I knew a little bit about cloud hosting and all that, but I wasn't really so good. So it was just little knowledge here and there, and I felt like I was. But interviews humbled me. That was when I now calmed down. I started learning. I'm still learning till today. I am still learning till today, honestly. And one thing I want to talk about, one thing I want to tell us today is that if you really want to know if it's time for you to go up, just do interview. You don't necessarily need to get the job. If you get the job, fine, good for you. But interview will make you understand where you are, the point where you are in your career. Don't shy away from it. It makes you understand how to be confident in what you know, but at the same time, it teaches you, it humbles you, it makes you understand where you are. It brings you down to your level, so you go and learn. You know, I remember there was a time I was interviewing for a what's it called, a back end role for Next.js, that's backend with Node.js. I already knew Express, I knew Node, but I don't know Next.js framework. I've not used it before. So when I told them in the interview, so they gave me like a week, but I got stuck at some point because it was that 1 week. I felt like I can finish the entire documentation in 1 week, but it wasn't like that. And if I were the CTO, I would not employ myself at that time because I knew I wasn't getting it. So the question I'm answering is, if you want to know when to upscale, my brother, just do interview. You will know where you are. Thank you.